the starry sea, with a batlet held tight with glee. Hunt OPC, his battle cry. Stars and moons light up the sky. OPC hunt, OPC, through the cosmos wild and free. Romulans and foes we fight, community our guiding light. Battling communists with cheer, reduces courage, knows no fear. With every clash and mighty roar, victory's prize forevermore. OPC hunt, OPC, through the cosmos wild and free. Romulans and foes we fight, community our guiding light. Battle anchor ship does soar, reducing its heart and core. Galactic winds, they lead our course, unity our driving force. Unity, our driving force. OPC hunts OPC, through the cosmos wild and free. Romulans and foes we fight, community our guiding light.
Then there's like this little interlude that plays after. Whoa. All right. Boom. Rotated. We're now back to the land of the living. We're going to do a little STFC content for you, which we always do on Sunday. I got to do some grinding, though, because, well, grinding is life. If you're not grinding in Star Trek Fleet Command, you're probably not playing Star Trek Fleet Command. You're playing another game that is less grinding. But this game is grinding. In fact, I've been grinding reputation because I'm about to build an enterprise. Yep, level 34 enterprise. That's what the plan is on this account. But welcome in, everybody. Lots to do here on Sundays, as there always is. Obviously, we've got our Mirror Universe event if you're a G4 and above level player. We also have a slew of events that are happening this week because if you did not know, this is a 2-week buy. Now, I talked about this on Twitch last night. If you are not familiar with how it works, quick little FYI. When we have 5 Tuesdays in a month, that means that month is almost definite. Look, with Scopely, you hate to say anything's definite, but almost guaranteed that if there are 5 Tuesdays in a month, then that month is going to have a 2-week buy preceding it, meaning that you're not going to have your standard 1 week. So for those that didn't know, we have got July 8th as when the arc is going to launch for this upcoming arc, whatever that arc could be. It's going to be launching on the 8th of July. So we've got several things that are going to be happening before then, such as the War Room returning, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. We've also got, as you can see, just put it on the screen now. Why not? We got Artifact Hunt. We've got Armada Attack. Crucible of War is going to rerun. So we've already got 1 cow. You're getting 2 cows. Moo-tastic. Fantastic. You got a 1-day faction hunt between the 7th and the 8th. You've got the 4th of July events coming up the 3rd and the 4th. To shout out America. Happy birthday, America. And of course, the other stuff like the Saris Invasion, which will be starting tomorrow. So if you haven't already been doing that, get ready for it because that's a really important one. You want to do your Galactic invasions. So there is your list of everything happening here during the bye week. Good to see everybody. Hope you're doing well. Feel free to shout your server if you are so inclined. And we appreciate you. Good to see you. Mihai Apollo Comms is here. Taffy from Server 20. Good to see you, my friend. And congratulations on hitting 15 billion. Faction rep, pretty stinking dope. We got Caleb, we got Smokey, Jaron. I'm sorry, that's tough to pronounce, Server 53 guy, but appreciate you being here. James, good to see you as well. Donald, Mr. Stoffel, Willie, It Depends, Fred, Dark Ginger, Scott, V-Real, J Field, Troy, Fantasy Tab, you already said you, but you know what, shout you out again. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well, everybody. Good to see you. So this is what we have here for week 2 of the interim schedule, the bye week schedule. JG, welcome in. Good to see you as well. So any questions, comments, and thoughts on the schedule? I'm glad you're here, Dr. Nate. I really am. Who doesn't need, I mean, when they say where's our doctor in the house? Well, there's one. His name's Nate. He's here. 702. What tier would you say the Negvar replaces a G5 maxed epic in PvP? Almost never. Maxed? Tier 12? Somewhere in there? Double-digit tiering. Double-digit tiering. Yeah, double-digit tiering. So, yeah. Now, I'm not saying the Negvar is bad, but the 63 uncommons, as we've talked about a lot, and I don't mind talking about it again, you simply lack when it comes to firing pattern. That is the biggest struggle for those ships. Firing pattern is much weaker. So because of that, your uncommons are just generally not going to live up to that same level. That doesn't mean they're bad, right? I still advocate for picking up a 63 uncommon. There is debate in that community. In fact, my G6 checklist that will come out here soon, I've conferred with other content creators because I like to include others. We've talked with Tarpitude, we talked with Lube, we talked with James Bond, Tiberius, and of course a lot of my players who are level 70, level 66, etc. And there's not universal agreement, but we'll put a checklist and let people discuss it. But part of my checklist for going to G6 is having a high tier epic, because whether or not you get the uncommon or not at 63, you're going to need to rely on your G5 epic. So no matter what, the G5 epic is going to be your mainstay in early G6. It just is. So that in mind, keep that there. You need the G6 uncommon for the hazard research? You do, Tim. In fact, all 3 G6 uncommons will help you get more hazard research. But let me go ahead and tell you, there are a lot of players out there who just simply say they don't care about that. Now, it is, to be very clear, getting a better ship, so like getting the level 66 ship, is not going to make the hazards less deadly, because hazards remove, a flat percentage in terms of how they work. But you can still work around it if you so choose. It really comes down to finding what works for you. But anyway, we'll have that G6 checklist out here momentarily. So we'll get this off the screen so I can get back into my rep grinding as we talk, answer questions, and be going over your survey results, as in all the numbers that y'all gave. And some of you might be shocked. Yep, clickbait title, but it's not even clickbait because I'm actually going to give you the numbers. And I do think a lot of people will be shocked. But we'll see how it goes. Is there a system to grind for Northcut BPs? Technically, yes, James Vega, but realistically, it's just easier to get it via Latinum and faction credits. Truly, it's the epics that are the pain point, but in terms of hostiles, anything that's up in the G5 range for that faction is going to drop it, but we're in a state of the game where we don't really recommend people go into those areas. Like, how many people are really recommending you go into Federation space and grind level 60 hostiles? That's pretty daggum rare, because mirror exists. If you're going to grind, it's more beneficial for you to grind in mirror for rep than it is that. So now the good news is there are so many ways to get faction credits and Latinum now that grinding for BPs is, to me, a pretty dead mechanic. I don't mind that it exists. In fact, I think it's really nice. That said, I don't really feel like that's a must, as in it might have been at one point. I remember when G4 first rolled out, we talked so heavily about going into the capital systems and grinding those blueprints out. And just the amount of faction credits and Latinum you can get today, even my low level account. I mean, look, this account, I do not buy packs on this. Now, I did buy the Reliant. I've been very open about that. That's the only purchase of $100 has been made on this account. And this account is sitting at 5-something million Latinum. And most of that's come from free-to-play treasuries and simply running away teams every day. I don't even have the max species yet. So there are absolutely many options for you to rely on to get this. It just depends on how important that is to you. Speaking of the Reliant, I'm gonna go put her back out right here. So what I've been doing is low grinding, as in a little bit lower than I normally would grind, all for the purpose of running a protected cargo crew, so that it can keep as much cargo as possible, and then the rest can go to the wonderful farmers out there, as in the OPC farmers. Shout out to them. We appreciate you existing. Let's go here. There isn't time to grind capital systems compared to years ago. I would disagree, but I just don't think it's needed. As in, there is more free time in the game now than there was 2 years ago. However, that doesn't mean it's valuable as it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it was a much more valuable thing to do. Now, if you have extra time to grind, there's so many other places to go. There's just so many other places that are more beneficial for you to end up in that are going to give you more long-staying benefits and power, right? 2 years ago, we weren't even really looking at Borg for the average players. I mean, time is definitely available to everybody. It's just what's important to you. And I think this game has always been a time management game more than anything. What is valuable to you? It's kind of like solo or waves. I keep saying I need to do solo waves, but I haven't because I don't have it truly as high a priority as I do other things. But I'll probably end up doing it here on this stream. This week, in fact, what I love to do during the bye weeks, I guess it's a great opportunity to put this back on the screen. What I love to do during these weeks, though, is when they give me this list of events, I'll find what I need. So, for example, the War Room is super easy. The War Room is go hit like one thing OPC in territory, and you're going to be done with the War Room. A Saris Invasion literally takes me 2 minutes each day, maybe that, to do that. Armada attack, I'm probably going to ignore Armada attack, but man, right? I don't really care. Cal, I'll do Cal, but again, that's just my normal hostile grinding. Infinite Incursions, I'll be honest, I'll do the PvP event, and that's probably about it. So, I mean, I have a lot of free time in this event structure. There's not a lot of requirements for me to like do anything super important. So I'll be able to, get around that and work on things that I need to catch up on. And also, if you're out there and wouldn't mind, 2 hours and 47 minutes from now, somebody remind me to be in my territory so I don't forget. I need to be in my territory on both accounts. In fact, both accounts have the same territory that we're going after. Tourney rerolls are quite bad / frustrating. So tourney rerolls is a conversation that pops up every time we talk about tournaments. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're good. I can just simply give you the rundown of reminding you, hey, this is how this works, and this is how that works. So keep in mind that some tasks, if they are being held by somebody else in your alliance, will not re-roll, particularly some of the 10K tasks, will not re-roll. So if you've got people just sitting on them, you need to get onto them and say, hey, stop sitting on these freaking tasks, get your butt off of them, and go put in some work. Now, that's not universally true for all tasks, but some of the big 10Ks that people really want, such as the Dominion, Epic and the Borg Epic directives to get, those are things that can get locked behind that wall. So you've got to be able to adjust that and make sure your alliance is aware of that. Don't sit on something. If you pull it, go do it. Don't get that and then just screw everybody else in your alliance. Now, the rerolls also are very RNG. Also, don't forget this tip. Remember, they are split into 3 sections. So if you roll for 10Ks, the 10K tasks, these last 3, are only ever going to re-roll that group. So if you're re-rolling this one, this Gordon I just rolled, this will never populate into a 10K task. Remember, there's 3 specific groups when it comes to how this is set up. And we've got that in the spreadsheet. I guess I should pull the spreadsheet up just to remind y'all, because I run into every time people who don't realize this, and that is completely okay. We get the tournament spreadsheet up. I pulled up the wrong one. Let's see, tournament spreadsheet, task list, and here's our groups. So, put this on the screen. Let me move this over just a smidge. So, reminder, when you're doing rerolls, group 1, group 2, group 3, some things will only spawn in those groups. So, don't forget that. So if you have people just sitting on these 10Ks, some of those 10Ks just aren't going to show up for you. But don't re-roll group 2 hoping to get group 3 items. Don't waste your re-rolls on group 1 hoping to get group 2, group 3. And remember what spawns in those groups as well. That's why we have this in the spreadsheet, to try to help folks out with it as much as we can. But again, I understand how difficult that can be. I really, really do. So as far as your re-rolls, the biggest thing is to save up for certain things, which is what I've done on the level 60 account. Y'all have seen it. You save up for 10Ks. Doing those 10Ks will give you more of the rerolls, and you just try to be specific. And if you're doing that over time, you will build up a small stockpile. That way, if you do get hit with terrible RNG and need to blow through 50,000 rerolls, you'll have them. You'll have them. So just a thought as far as Alliance tournaments goes. Hopefully that's some helpful information. But yeah, there we go. There we go. Wish me luck. Yeah, I will. Now, I've been working with Chrono about improving the display and the refresh of stfc.wetf/stfc.pro, because obviously many of you rely on that and you can see what task a player in your alliance has, but because it's only been refreshing every 5 or 6 hours, that's not been a useful tool to try and ascertain what your group is doing. It's trying to work on ways to make that faster. So, can I ask when they'll likely have a specialty ship parts SOB? Yeah, 85. They basically only run those when a new specialty ship runs out. That's about the only time that stuff happens. There's not a consistent set schedule, to the point that I tell everybody, do not sit on your specialty ship upgrades. You're hurting yourself sitting on those waiting for an SLB. That's my opinion. What is my logic behind that? The rewards you would get from upgrading the ships and doing it in a timely manner are more valuable than anything the SLB is going to pay out anyway, especially if that specialty ship happens to use materials that you can use to improve your SLB rankings on weekends. It's my belief no player out there should wait for SLB upgrade events for specialty ships. Upgrade your specialty ships now, start working those rewards, improve your refineries. You're only holding yourself back if you don't improve those. For example, almost every specialty ship in the game improves its refinery when it gets tiered up. So if you're sitting there, you got a whole tier waiting, well, you're only hurting your refineries. Let's just say for me, the Voyager on this account, you're only hurting your refineries if you don't upgrade this. That's all you're doing. You're hurting your refinery, because remember, Tier 1 Voyager, Tier 2 improves the numbers. You're only hurting your refineries by waiting for those events. They're not consistent, they don't run on a schedule, and typically only revolve around when new ships are coming out anyway. Upgrade, upgrade, never sit on it. Don't sit on a single part, nothing. Upgrade it as soon as you can, that way you don't get left behind. That's just my thought. That's not a FOMO thing, that's just a, hey, how long are you gonna sit there with a Tier 5 Vindicator, right? Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Ryan says, I wish search worked on that site without having to click a checkbox. Well, I mean, it does work. The checkbox is only re-ranking it so that you can see where you rank for like all level 63s. So, I swear I was holding 10,000 Epic Dominion, saw another 10K Epic Dominion pop up later. Can't speak to that, voiding. Are the 10K events also set by the league you are in? I'm scrolling, looking for the 10K event where you get uncommon skill points by upgrading the CC. Nope, that is not set by league. I know that because this account, this is Alliance, is not Masters League, and we've had it in Adept League, that one show up. So that one will show up regardless of what league you're in. In fact, that's actually one of the complaining points a lot of players have about Alliance tournaments is they're not segmented by things like level and ops and, you know, the level of your alliance or ops or the rank you're in. It's simply blanket for everybody, which means that you can have a brand new server that has nothing but level 30s in it getting tasks saying, hey, get 6-star. So Paulo says, I save parts on ship launch for events. It's not FOMO, it's capitalism. Sure. I mean, if you're talking about ship launch, let's say you bought the Reliant. Well, then yeah, it makes sense the month the Reliant comes out to dump everything during the leaderboards. I'm saying that like right now, don't sit there and not upgrade your Revenant, Relativity, GS31, Vindicator, etc. because you're hoping for an event to pop up. Go ahead and upgrade those things. You know, it's the same thing with like specialty buildings and everything. Just upgrade them. Get advantage, you know, take advantage of what those provide you now. That's what I would recommend for most people. Yeah. You waiting for the Reality event? Noted. So, all right, thoughts, comments. Why don't they add mining? There's plenty of low levels who could do that task. They have mining to do. I don't have an answer for you that's sufficient or make you happy. Short answer, they want tournaments to be an active thing, not a passive thing. So, you've been sitting on some special ship upgrades. You're going to upgrade them now. Like I said, the only caveat I ever added that is if it's a special ship that will also take regular materials, maybe you wait for weekends that you like those officers. But just using the Reliant as an example, I mean, yeah, don't sit on your Reliant upgrades right now if you purchase the Reliant. And can't say that you didn't, because in this chat, I guarantee there's 300 people here. I would say probably at least 10% of the people here have a Reliant. So let's just say roughly 30% of people right now have the Reliant in this chat. Don't wait on it. Take advantage of it and enjoy. So Tim says that they never wait for the daily special ship upgrades, but I wait for the regular spin events because many of them take uncommon mats. Yeah, exactly. Let's just say you're upgrading your Borg Cube. Well, that uses materials, right? We had a chart. I don't have it handy. If any of our volunteers out there would like to shoot it to me real quick, I do have a chart. We have a chart that lists like what all the special ships cost to upgrade side by side. I just don't have it handy at the moment. But if somebody's out there that wants to go and grab it and send it to me, I can put it up on the screen. That is super useful. So, good afternoon. Welcome in, Leland. Welcome. I was working on getting the BPs for the cube. Was 20 out. Where can I get more cube BPs? The event store. Currently, the only way to acquire the Borg Cube in the game today is through the event store. There are a couple of prerequisites, like the level itself, but the only place to get it is in your ship blueprints area of your event store. Now, this account has a Borg Cube because they gave away the Borg Cube for free about a year ago through a code. I have been asking them to do the same thing again for those curious, but they gave it away for free, and we haven't had it been given in that code since. I will continue to ask for that, FYI. In fact, I can message the community manager about that tomorrow morning if y'all like. But event store is the only current way, and the cube really doesn't have much value in game besides being really neat and pretty until you get to the upper 50/G6, and then G6 is obviously one of the best ships in the game, arguably the best. Though I'd say in terms of PvP, maxed out Crenshaws are a little bit better right now, but again, depends on favors, research, artifacts, FT, CT, crews. I mean, it's really just a great vessel. It just takes a long time to become a great vessel. But to answer the question directly, you got to go and grab it. Tim says he hates that I bought the cube, then it was given for free. Well, I mean, look, you got to know that everything in this game will be given away for free at some point. So if you make a purchase, you're paying to have it early. You're paying a early adopter's bonus, fee, whatever you want to call it. All right, so just keep that in mind. Anything, whether it's the Reliant, the Cube, any future ships they may bring out, any future tech, everything will get a free-to-play path. Hey, Light, I'm gonna need you to stop misbehaving. Quit. Don't make me come over here. Thank you. So everything will get that. I mean, like Dry Dock G, right? Dry Dock G was a paid item for about 4 years, 4 years, and now it's completely free to play. Right, you're getting the advantage of having it before everybody else, which can absolutely help you out. So for example, even if you aren't a G6 player, you've got the Cube event, you've got Cube research. Remember, the Cube gives you access to really good research, especially for a G3, G4 player. And while the Cube itself is not very strong at low levels, even though you've seen me use it as my primary PvP ship, you do still get access to all this, right? And let me tell you, a 70% hull boost in the 20s and 30s is good. Right? So there are advantages you get if you purchase the cube. You just got to know that that advantage is not going to last forever because they're always going to bring something new out, a new advantage. They can sell a new advantage. Who doesn't want to buy a new advantage? Yeah. Yay, buying new advantages. I'm op 60, all 3 G5 epics with 2 tier 10, around 2.3 billion. Should I get to 61 because of the Revenant, etc., or chill here because of the SLBs? That's difficult, Paladin. Let me ask you a couple questions. Number one, do you do PvP arenas? Because the biggest thing about going into G6 is it's really going to drastically change how well you can perform there. So if there is, and I actually had my level 70, he's the alliance leader for IA. So he's the alliance leader to the strongest alliance in the game. And he and a lot of other people are bugging me to go into G6 on that account. But he said last night on my stream that if there is a reason to sit at 60 for a while and get stronger, is to take advantage of PvP arenas. Because once you go into G6 and the higher you go into G6, the more difficult it becomes to find matchups that you can fight, because the closer you get to 70, the more difficult everything is just going to be, right? So with that in mind, if you're a big arenas guy and your goal is to say max out one of those G5 epics, which I would recommend before going into G6 anyway, if for no other reason, for the warp range, then yeah, hurry up and wait. Chill there. Keep working on things. Get bigger, get stronger. Hey, maybe come back Wednesday. We'll look at your account. So again, that's just a reason. I've said it before. You've seen my level 60 account. It is ready for G6, right? And my G6 checklist, I've not finished editing it, so remember you're looking at a work in progress, but I'll show you the G6 checklist. 1 second, let me pull up the G6 checklist. Again, I've not finished it, so don't look at it and go, oh, that's easy. Bam, G6 checklist. So for example, tier 10 to tier 12 Epic G5. One of the main reasons I put it in there is that's so easy to do in today's game if you're following, my path and my recommendations. Getting your Revenant to Mark 3, again, very easy, not hard. Tier 5 USS Relativity. This is probably the hardest thing on my checklist, is getting your ops gallery for your artifacts to level 60. That's probably the hardest. ISO 150, not very hard, definitely doable. Triple faction, 15 bill, not hard. Again, I've completed all this, and there will be more things that I add, but I have 1.5 million credits for Selkie. I've already got it. Am I prepared for hazards? I know exactly what they are, how they work. Yes, I'm personally prepared. Am I ready to grind Sigma speedups and Mirror? I'm already doing that with my Enterprise. I can do that now. I've done all my masteries. I'm already grinding Rep and Mirror. I can grind, I think, 13 level 62 Augment Exiles right now with my crew and with my ships without, by the way, any PvE FTs or CTs. So if I put PvE FTs or CTs, I could do even better. I can beat the Elite 5 G5, the G5 Elite Solo Wave. So I've got my list done. I just am waiting. I have other things that I would personally like to accomplish, but yeah, that will have a its own video probably this week. And by the way, I said this last week. If you're out there and you're a G6 player and you have thoughts, you'd like to say, hey Rev, I would consider adding this to the G6 checklist, shoot me a message, whether it's Discord, Facebook, X, doesn't matter. Ask Nemesis. I respond to messages. I respond to Miss Nemesis. How you doing? Good to see you. By the way, one of your people reached out to me today. Hit me up about that if you don't mind. I got questions. Not bad questions. I just got questions. Ethan, good to see you, by the way. Welcome in. I so much enjoy when you do the account reviews. I learn so much from listening to your recommendations for specific players, and I love to hear that. That's one of the reasons we started doing it, and we'll continue to do that on Wednesdays. So Eddie says he's waiting for the Titan/Cerritos to catch up before leveling up, and I think that's a good thing to do, right? Because the Cerritos and the Titan, not only great for PvP arenas, right, but also Q trials, getting those maxed out, and there are several other things you can take advantage of with that. So that's a good idea. Kudos to you for planning ahead. What crew to use for the 62 augments? Janeway, Doc, Anorax, and then my normal slew below decks of all the different things. So nothing's changed from the video for me. Now, I did say in the video, depending on officer tiers and levels, you might have a better crew than I do. Because mine is really based on what crew I have and what's, effective for me. We'll switch over that account in a bit. I'm trying to get some rep grinding in here on server 710 so I can get my Enterprise unlocked. But we will see that account today as we go through more of the topics that we go through. We still got to go through the ARC review as well, as in I want to show you or tell y'all what all those results were. So what happens if I copy this to clipboard and then paste it? Oh, there's Nemesis. Hey, there's Nemesis. Wait. Also, Nemesis is super dope. Nemesis sent me a picture of him watching my stream on his Tesla, which, by the way, Nemesis, you don't have to let us know you're level 70 in real life. It's my hope that you'd be a pauper living in like a cardboard box and I'd have something better than you. But nope, you have an autonomous driving car. You're such a good dude. But it was a really cool picture. Thank you. Don't forget the disco. Great call out. Now, again, we were talking about the Borg Cube. That's another thing you can do with the cube. If you've gotten the skin for the trans warp drive, you can use the cube to get that event done every single Sunday, which is actually what I tend to do, is to get my event done for that. I'll pull out the cube on Sundays, go grab this, and then I'll mix between using the cube for its grind and doing that. So we'll go to like this system right here. We'll just jump into it. I'll let it auto grind, build up his beam, bang things with the beam, and then get that event done. You have Carol Marcus. If you do, would you recommend using her instead of the EMH Doc on the bridge versus Augment Hostiles? So with Carol Marcus, I do have her on the level 60 account. On this account, let's scroll on down, I have her at tier 1. What I would recommend is her below deck ability, probably the most, because she has a very good below deck ability. Now, I just made a video about below decks and I had a few people get mad at me because I did not include her. The reason I did not include her is because my YouTube account almost exclusively deals with people who are free to play or light spenders, as in 99% of the game doesn't have her, right? You might have got her from a leaderboard. I worked really hard to get her from a leaderboard and then also from the event store, but her below deck ability is really, really good. Now, this is a great ability if you're needing more stuff, especially if you have it tiered up. A 150% ability to me is probably not going to be worth changing out your regular grind crew because it's going to result in you getting less kills. That said, her below deck ability is fantastic and would recommend this being a primary addition to your BDA. The reason that she was not included in the video, though, is I try to only include things in the video that the average player can have access to and start working towards. And right now, there is no way for anybody to work towards getting Carol. It is my hope that that will change, obviously. But if you have her below deck, she's one of the best below deck PvE officers in the game right now. She's absolutely fantastic and would recommend you using her as part of your below deck set, depending on where you're at in terms of rank's not the right word, but in terms of unlocked slots, how many you have, she could be one of the better ones for you to use. I just realized that I should probably be going up to a slightly higher system here. Let's see, where's a 33? Not that. Not that either. I mean, it really just jumps to 34s. I'll go see how well my beam does. I need to get this juice spent anyway. So, we need to get the juice spent. Wrath of Khan Carol and Wrath of Khan Scotty, lower deck abilities sound really similar. Can you, in short term, give an explanation what's the difference? They're actually quite different in terms of how they work, in terms of who they're affecting. But, so Wrath of Khan Carol is kind of like having Janeway. Make sure I'm not mixing those two up. I have a real bad problem mixing them up. But, when you take hull damage from a non-Armada hostile, increases your shield mitigation. So that is Pike, Janeway. Pike, Janeway, yeah? Yeah? One of those two. See, I'm second guessing myself now that I'm saying it. Janeway, should be Janeway. That's literally Janeway. Verify that's Janeway, Rev. Let's go pull Janeway up just to make sure you're not an idiot. I am an idiot, but I'm a very fun idiot who's ginger and pretty. Janeway. So, when you take... Okay, yeah, exactly. So, she is literally Catherine Janeway's captain's ability below decks, increasing the amount that your shields will stop before reaching your hull, which is quite valuable. Very much recommend using that and taking advantage of it. Now, for Scotty, he's doing something else. He's doing more like Una. So, we go back into Scotty. So, I'm just checking to see if my cube was ready to fire its beam. So, if we go into Scotty, reduces enemy shield. So that is doing like Una does. Una reduces the opponent's shield. Same thing there. So when it comes to PvE grinding, increasing your shield mitigation is far more valuable than reducing your opponents in PvE. Now in PvP, it can be more valuable sometimes to reduce your opponents because those just have a lot more modifiers that adjust damage and how that works. But PvE, generally what you want to do is increase your survivability because enemy hostiles tend to have really inflated whole health numbers, which makes the battles last a little bit longer, especially than most PvP battles will last. So you're kind of doing a balancing act. There's no explorers in here. I need to change what system I'm in. But anyway, they're both good, but Carol's better just for your average grind and what you're doing. So. Let's see. She was available in the event store. She was, Tim. She was. But the thing is, again, I'm on that free-to-play topic. Yeah, she was available in the event store, but free-to-plays are most likely want to focus on primes they don't have, special ships they haven't unlocked yet, things like that. Even though I'm a big proponent of Officers Are Forever. In fact, it's one of my catchphrases that I've been saying for years. Same time, the average player wants to speed up their acquisition of various things. So can't really blame them for that. Speed up those acquisitions. Unbeatable swarms come in the Q trials. What to do? They're not unbeatable at all. There's no swarm that's unbeatable. Use your Franklin. Use Pipe and Row Talon / Pipe and Row Cath, depending on which one's higher power. Or higher tier, rather. Be very careful saying power. That in. Oh, didn't take it out all the way. All right, we'll just set this on the side. Let it catch some things, and then when it gets to 100%, we'll rebeam that. Yeah, so, Kevin, you're wrong, Una. This comes back to the game being confusing with there being too many Unas. So the Una I'm referring to, Wrath of Khan Scotty working like, is Strike Team Una. Not Strange New World Una, who is a PvE speed officer. So Strike Team Una. So again, it's not that Scotty's bad, it's just not as good. It's the best way to describe it. He's not bad, he's just not as good. 5 stars away from Carol Tier 2, since I didn't get the ship. Hope all is well. Well, a very nice troll meet. Congrats, and that's huge. Do keep in mind that she costs 10,000 of the new Priority 1 currency to upgrade to Tier 2. So that is something that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of. Again, once you get further down the tree, it's not too hard to collect that stuff. But if you're not prepared for it, you don't know what's coming, you might end up being a little bit frustrated. So just an FYI, if you were unaware. If you were unaware, that will be in your future. Grab all those. And then let's see, we at 100% yet? We are not. So let's hit this. And we can hit that 32 and get its juice. What are your recommended Priority 1 away team researches after getting the epic assignments that use Pioneer Crest? So after the epic assignments, again, depends on where you're at rep-wise, because if you're able to do the champions missions, then the most valuable away team research is the favor. Now, you still can use that currency, by the way. Wrong one. Still use that currency to upgrade the favor up to, I think, 7. But right here, Priority 1 Khan's favors. Absolutely super good. Gives you a daily gift that actually helps give you some of the currencies that you're looking for. But you got to do the epic assignment first to get through that. Then once you do that, this is one of the most important ones to pull. Absolutely fantastic. And again, long term, people will talk about Priority 1s being one of the best mechanics in the game. One of the most valuable mechanics in the game. Short term, people are annoyed because there is a time element to really get in there and start earning all the currencies you need. But long term, Priority 1 is one of the best updates that you will have, and people will be using it for years to do major catch-ups, officer sourcings, etc. It's very, very good. Just maxed Joaquin, and now my Enterprise D is almost 1,000 ISO defense. I'm very jealous. Very jealous. I need to grind out the rep on server 20 so that I can go get Joaquin, because I don't. So my ISO defense is only like 340%, which is not very good. It's not very good compared to you. So I need to actually break down and start grinding more rep and just go hitting those 62s. Tons of them. Tons of them. We go around events here, grab those. A little bit more Nurse Chapel, a little bit more Beverly Crusher. That works out great. Let's see where I'm at rep-wise, because I do want to switch the other account to show y'all some of that stuff. Don't forget also, your cooldowns on the stores are wrapping up. So if you haven't already, please out there, do not be one of those ones who forgets about your stores and you lose your currency. Just like some people will forget about their choice rewards. Don't do that, guys and gals out there. Make sure you go do that. The timers are running up right now. Please, please, please do not be one of those lovely ladies and gentlemen out there who come griping to me about, Rev, can you ask them to extend the stores? I forgot to do. Just don't forget. Go do it. Get your butt out there, whether it's the Cons Officer Depot, whether it's this, go and spend these currencies. Get your boohickeys out there and get to work. Do not forget. So, like, I'm currently working on maxing out the rares here. I've already got Harry Kim up, Tier 2, working on Belana Torres. I'm also wanting to unlock Janeway. That one's not going to get done this time around, but don't forget, please. Don't be the guy or gal who messaged Rev, can you please ask them to extend? Like, just go and spend all your currency now. You've got 1 day and 22 hours left. You say, I don't have much currency left, but I am here. How close was that? Oh, I'm nowhere close to that at all. And nowhere close to an upgrade. I did unlock Quasi. Not going to bother with A-Lock. And ship blueprints are what I've been dumping it into. So, yeah. Get in there. Get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Get to pulling all your stuff. Going to max Rachel Garrett. Very happy. Amazing officer to max out. Super good. I use Rachel Garrett on my main account quite often, as you can imagine. Super, super good. Low deck ability, Carol. And then I got to change crews on this other account. Get all these in. Because we'll be grinding on that account. I was just saying needing the reps. So when we switch over, we'll be grinding with that. Let's see. Put that there. I'll change it up. We'll use the Rotaran for our grind this time around. Just to be a little bit different. And we get my crew ready. We'll be swapping over that here in a minute. Is it worth getting the other two G4 Epics Ops 53? In my opinion, yes. If your plan is when you go to Ops 60 to build all the epics. Remember, the whole reason, not the whole reason, that's a bad way to word it. The best reason to get all three of the G4 epics is to scrap them to help give you free G5 epics. Very valuable, very good, absolutely recommend. Now, does that mean everybody needs to do that? You don't need all of them. Most people don't need to be like Rev and get all of the G5 epics. However, it will make your life easier down the road. Now, if you're going to level 50, I do strongly recommend players get at least one of the epics. That way it'll make your level 50 experience easier and better, as well as be good for the future. But if you are level 53, you want to always be thinking about the future. So yes, you should absolutely build those if your plan is to get the Rotaran, the Daredex, and the Enterprise D. Go ahead and get all three of them. Start working on leveling them up because you don't need a lot of that 4-star anymore, right? You don't need a lot of that 4-star. You're focusing on 5-star stuff now. And go from there. That's what I would recommend to everybody here in this chat. So. Officer choice tokens no longer have a timer on them. Does that mean they will remain indefinitely? Potentially. There's been a ton of positive feedback and requests for that specifically. I do not like to put words in Scopely's mouth. And while it is right there now, can't say it's going to be there forever. However, take advantage of it while it is here, and they are leaving it for the time being. I don't want to say it's going to be there forever. So, don't want to say it's going to be there forever. But the hardest thing in maxing shit for scrapping isn't tearing up, it's leveling up. It is. And that's why there are a lot of researches that can improve the amount of XP you're getting, or simply using Latinum. You know, it's one of the things that I talk about a lot is getting more Latinum. Yeah, to the point that I probably annoy many of you by constantly mentioning Latinum and the need for you to go get more of it. But if you max out the Fisha, which again, anybody can do in G5 and above, that's 80,000 Latinum a day, right? If you're doing your away teams, as I annoy everybody to do all the time, that can easily turn into anywhere from 10 to heck 75,000 Latinum a day, depending on where you're at, level-wise, etc. Get all those things in. Now, if you don't have a chance of critting, I'm just going to ignore it there, but 1000% get you those Latinum runs going. They are super valuable, super good. And now that I've got that there, we'll go ahead and smack that one. And then we'll hit this trained fighter. Now, it reminds me, we're going to our away team store now. Scroll down here at the bottom. Make sure you're pulling this every day, especially as a G3, because it has the legacy currency in it. Then you come in here and say, hey, let's make that Enterprise a little bit cheaper. Bam. I'm already at 5 of the 150 BPs needed. Hey, I need a miner. Cool. Let's go get some Cavort. I'm getting so much of this currency for free every day. I can sit here and just pull these, and it really helps take advantage. Not to the point where I would say pull this, right? 75,000 is not really going to do much. But I mean, if you're just sitting on the currency, your ability to grind and get these is pretty nice. Just another FYI, or easy to forget if you're not paying attention, you have to go out and grab those. So just again, try to keep the chat up to date on all the things going on. Yeah, and then right, D-Man's right. If you've maxed out the Voyager and then you go into its refinery, you can pull that chest and get more Latinum there. So what I'm really just trying to make sure everybody is aware of, there are a lot of ways to get Latinum in the game today. And it starts all the way back in G3. Again, because you're looking at an account here that has got a lot of Latinum for a level 34. I mean, 5.6 million Latinum is more than I can really use. All right, that's free ships, free max officers if I want to do it. Remember, if you're a G3 player out there, you've got Latinum, you can go in here to your recruit tab and you can use it to get standard recruits, right? So just lots of good things you can do with Latinum, and the game is paying out a lot more of it. And I'm really trying to get as many people as I can to take advantage of that, because it can be so valuable to the average player out there trying to help everybody be gooder. Try to help everybody be gooder. All right, so I've got Chin maxed out, by the way. That's part of the thing that the Latinum help paid for, was maxing out Chin, right? That's huge. Maxing Chin is amazing. How much Latinum should be saved before going G6? I heard things are expensive. I'll be honest, Jason. Saving Latinum doesn't help as much for G6. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying what's better for G6 is for you to be saving up Sigma speedups. As in, if you are level 60 like I am, take your Enterprise D Rotaranda Daradex out to mirror space and grind in mirror space so that you can get Sigma speedups saved up. Now, again, Latinum is good to save up, and you're going to want tens of millions of it in G6. But if we're talking about what's the best thing to do in terms of like cost saving, however we want to word that, it is 1000% going and grinding in mirror space and getting speedups. Now, you can do it in other places, but Sigma speedups are most commonly going to be tied to grinding in mirror. There we go. Got 2 more blueprints for the Enterprise right there. That was nice. For range, you need to optimally get the Sigma speedups in mirror. You want to be doing mirror Terex or mirror Romulus. Now, generally it's any hostile above, but the reason we do mirror Terex is because that can drop the 15-hour speed up, which is the most valuable one. The other ones, like if you go to mirror and you hit a level 62 hostile, it can drop a 15-minute speed up, which again, you'll take anything that you can get, but what's going to be more valuable for you, and what's going to be more valuable is, I think everybody can, easily understand and assume that, yes, it'd be more valuable for me if I had 15-hour speed ups. Because remember, 1 day's worth of speed ups in G6 cost 1.5 million Latinum. 1.5 million Latinum is how much a 1 day speed up is in G6. So getting those 15-hour ones is absolutely huge. All right, James says, where do you get Lat from the Voyager? You're missing something. You is missing something. Go to the Voyager tab, scroll on over, Fisher Refinery. Boom. Latinum right there in this box. Look, Rev even pulls it. Would you look at that? Right in that box. Bam. Happy to help. You got a friend in me. This friend's obsessed with this game. Why would you use Voyager for Latinum? Easy, Walter. Once you max out the Voyager, you're going to get those commerce insignias every day. And you might reach a point where the ship parts are no longer the most valuable for you. Like, for example, at level 60 right now, I don't need all the ship parts. I've got all the things that I need, right? Level 50, I didn't need the ship parts. I needed the rares, but again, you have the Eviscerator for that. You've got the Bajoran Refinery. I'm not saying that ship parts are no longer a bottleneck. I'm saying that you have the ability now to make choices that players a year, 2 years, 3 years ago did not have the ability to make. And if you're needing more Latinum, it's not hard at all to be a G4 player getting 50 to 100,000 or a G5 player getting 200,000 Latinum a day. So, we're talking about both G4 and G5 players having the potential to earn 1 million Latinum a week free to play. Just depending on what level they're at, what they're grinding for. So all these are options. I'm not telling you that you need to do all these different grinds. In fact, my whole thing is to choose what you want to do, what is valuable to you, and go from there. But if we're talking about Latinum is the #1 need for you, cool. We can work with that. Latinum is the #1 need. Here are the ways you can get Latinum. Away teams, right? Maxing out the Fisher, the Voyager pool. Right? There's a lot of things that pay out Latinum, not even talking about events that pay out Latinum. So event store question, Eviscerator or Relativity, Oz52, and you said great stream. Thank you. I really appreciate this. So the answer, truthfully, is you want both. You want to get both. Which one I would pick first? I would pick the Eviscerator first because of artifact and officer sourcing. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Either works. Oh, got a beetle. Please don't blow up. Please don't blow up. Hey! Yay, it didn't blow up. We got the beetle. Awesome. What a great day. Did hurt a little bit, but that's to be expected from a level 70 beetle. But we'll take that all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. Hopefully we'll get another one. Let's see if we can get our chaser. There's our chaser. We're going to do that real quick and stop. We'll freeze it, and then we'll go to grinding. Got so many commerce tokens that I don't have to worry about being selected. Exactly, D-Man. So what I tend to do in my Voyager refinery, if you didn't see my presets here for my auto pulls, again, this is a level 60 account. So I grab the Explorer, Battleship, Interceptor, and then I tend to get the Fisha. So I tend to do those 4 every day. If you come into your archives and you go to your Voyager, and you can max this out at level 51. That's the earliest you can do it. See, I get 300 a day. So I can get more when I go into Dairy Queen space and I summon those Borg Cubes. All right, so we summon the Borg Cubes so that we can get more stuff saved up and we get more juice and all the funny stuff. But that'll also give you more commerce insignias and more of the wonderful, lovely, everybody needs more faction credits. So a little bit of a 2-for-1, and because of that, I end up with more commerce insignias than I can spend. So I get those 4 chests every single day, and that helps build my Latinum reserves up because, well, Rev don't get Scopely help no more, right? Rev don't get a battle pass every month. So Rev got to make sure he's on his Latinum. Rev's on his Latinum, doing well. 1 tier away from Voyager Max and IA. Very nice, James. Very nice. Oh, that one's broken. Dang it. Using the away team store to get your G4 faction miner. I like it. Yeah. Very nice. I like it. So it seems like many of you have good plans. And we like to see players that have plans. Only way to play this game, I think, at least in a fun way, is to plan. Help avoid all the headaches. Collect, and good to go. What do you think about the new Chaos Tech Omega thing increasing basic crit hit damage by 200% for all ships? Meh. My honest thought is meh. So, and let's go into our Chaos Tech. That is, let's see, Omega module increases. Let me pump this up. Increases chrono tempo wreckage gained. That's the only thing that I really like. Is that one. Then you have Apex Barrier. And then crit damage for all ships. This is what I like. That. Just to get as much loot as humanly possible from the Printum formations. But I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. Meh. Let's get this back. Collect. There we go. I need to go collect my away teams for the day. If you haven't, remember this is an everyday claim. I know it's annoying. There's another click. Oh, I gotta wait. Oh, that sucks. I gotta wait. 2 hours. Remember, in 2 hours, somebody please remind me to be in my territory battle so I don't miss it. I have a bad problem with that. But be very much appreciative if y'all remind me to be there. And then tomorrow, I've got to be in Zon for this one. Tomorrow, I got to be in Zon. So because I hit that trader or that DY, I'm out and get as many hits here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, just no, 3, 6, 9. So it looks like I'm going to get probably 10, but I would have gotten a few more if it hadn't have been for the trader. Again, the big reason be here is rep, getting a lot more rep. So rep and the rares, and I'm actually grinding out epics now, which is really going to help with my grind. Would you concentrate on Con SP or the Godsend? Out of those two, for me, Prince, I would do Con SP. And again, I've said this a lot. I don't think that the CTs they're coming out with are bad, but if you're a strong player and you have a good account, you don't need it. What do I mean when I say you don't need it? If you, for example, like me, the level 60s here in the chat, you've got a tier 10 Enterprise. You don't need that CT to defeat a hostile, right? So a lot of those CTs get made and inserted into the game for players who aren't strong enough to hit their targets at their level. And David's right, more is more. But when it comes between the two things, Con SP is a heck of a lot harder to get than being good at hostile hunting. So of those two, I would say get Con SP. But again, that's just me. I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I would lean towards getting Con SP. I do need to go grab, oh, he's on the away teams right now. That's fine. We can go use this. Let's put this out. We're going to go see if we can find some OPC while we're grinding. Remember, if it's OPC, it's for me. Them's the rules. If it's OPC, it's for me. You farm, I farm. That's how we roll. Thank you for teaching me about efficiencies and the right primes to get rev. Steam rolling towards Op 66 soon. Happy to hear that, Troll. And have you picked out which 66 ship you're getting? Are you getting the Velox like everybody else does? Or you get the Koskari because Klingons are the best? Or are you going to get the Titan because you're obsessed with the Federation? What are you choosing? What are you choosing? So, we still need more sliders on the shields. I agree, Troll. I agree. That is absolutely something that we bring up. No ETA when that's going to happen, but there are a lot more quality of life things coming. So I've gotten to see little bits of this upcoming arc. I've seen some for the arc after, and then gotten to talk to game design about things I'd like to see around the November and December area of the game as well. So I'm very blessed that y'all support the channel, allowing me to have these conversations. And there are more quality of life updates coming. So don't worry, they're not done. And if there's one thing Scope has done really well the past year is quality of life updates. So more are coming down the pipe. If you had to guess, what ships do you think will be added to the archives next? Well, they said what the priorities for them were. Disco's on the list. They said basically everything but the sarcophagus are on the list. But Disco, Mantis, those they really seem to be working more from the lower level specialty ships, the ones you access earlier on. And that's kind of what you've seen here. You access this at the very beginning of the game, level 20, 25, 32, 30, 32, 30. Anyway, 35, 35, 35, 34, and 39 is when you can get the blueprints for the Monavine. So they're definitely focusing on the beginning ones, which I think is fine. And we'll see how that kind of rolls out. But can Scopely help clean my kitchen? Would be real good quality of life. You know what, Eddie? I will hit them up about that. And I'll tell them, like, look, this is really important. If you don't do this, Eddie might quit the game. If you don't go help do Eddie's dishes, he might quit the game. And we don't want Eddie to quit the game. So you know what? I will pass it up pronto. You're welcome. You're welcome. Man of the people. What ship are you grinding in Mirror Universe? I can only get 2 System 60 for rep and credits. So I'm using the Enterprise D or my Rotaran to get out to Mirror Terex, which is Warp 800, which you can do with a Tier 7, Tier 8 Enterprise, any of the level 50, level 60 epics. I think it's Tier 7. I'd have to double check it, but I think it's Tier 7 to get Warp Range 800. You know what? I'll double check it now. And that's not, of course, including anything like Fleet Commander Kirk or anything that can boost Warp Range. STFC.space, ships, Enterprise, got the Enterprise D. Let's just say Tier 7. What's the warp range? Base warp range is 950, so it's actually less. Let's see Tier 5. Yeah, so Tier 5 is enough. Now, Tier 5 might not be strong. Probably is not going to be strong enough to do much in Mirror Terex, but any decently tiered one is going to do semi-A-okay. All right, see if there's any OPC in here. Do we seize it? We do not seize it. No OPCs. I didn't actually give a really good look for traders, though. Any trader? Trader? No. What crew? So when I run my mirror runs, I use the same thing I'm using in Augment. You can use full Synergy Anorax. You can use full Synergy Enterprise E Picard, Enterprise E Data, Rachel Garrett. You can use Janeway, Doc, E Data. There's a lot of different crews you can use in. Sugar Fatman says, if they don't clean Eddie's kitchen, you'll quit the game as well. Noted. I will let them know. It's very important, high stakes stuff. You ever return at Tier 4 with Warp Range 938? Yeah, Falcon. So when I'm bringing up the ranges, I'm making sure that I always give base ranges because not everybody has the same fleet commanders or research or even officers. So the base warp range of a tier 5 is 850. So you need to feed your tribbles. Well, don't do that. They'll breed. They'll breed. What's the best crew for a G5 Epic and Terex? Again, this is based on your crews. So I can't give you that answer because if you've got a tier 1 Janeway set, that's not going to be better than your maxed out Strange New World crew or your tier 4 Enterprise E crew. That's why I try to give multiple crews, because if your Janeway's tier 1 at level 61, that's terrible. But number 2, well, a tier 1 Janeway and a tier 1 Dock aren't going to do that good. So I don't really know what crews are at. So I try to give some options to give people something that they can at least test with and see what works best for them. And there we go. There's a DY200. Now, and that's not like I'm not trying to sidestep the question. It's just, it's not one that's easily answered, where I can't just give you one crew and that's going to work for everybody in this chat. It really comes down to what's good for you, because in today's game, G5 and above has probably, I'd say, 3 really reliable, really good PvE crews. So you've got Strange New Worlds, you've got Voyager, and you got Enterprise E. All 3 of those are very, very good grind crews by themselves, let alone if you have good mixing. So for example, you can do Janeway, Dock, Enterprise E Data. If all those are tier 5, that's a dang good, darn good, really good crew. But just by themselves, all 3 of those are good. But if you've got one of them is tier 1, another one's tier 1 as a crew, and then the other's tier 4, well, the tier 4 one's probably going to do much, much better. So that's why I try to give options for people, and that way you can find what's going to work out best for you. Oh, we got a ship here. It is a disco. Don't worry about the disco. See if we see any DY200s. We do not. So let's keep on moving back down so we can get our OPC hunting in. You destroy 20 mirror hostiles, but mirror Alpha Centauri doesn't count. Is there a G3 system that has mirror hostiles in it that I don't need a rift for? Nope. There's not. There's not. All right. Beam. We're going to beam this. Beam. Then there's one down here. Beam you. And we'll go start another Armada. I really should teach this level 61. He only needs to use 1 ship. You're really hurting your loot if you're using 3 ships. You're really hurting your loot if you're only using 3 ships. Or, I'm sorry, if you're using 3 ships, you're really hurting your loot. Because he doesn't need 3 ships. Now, I don't know how much he actually cares about the loot, but you hurt your loot when you use 3 ships for a solo. If you get to a point where you can solo the solos, like 1 ship, that's the meta. You know, 1 ship with a loot crew on solo armadas is the best loot you can get. Now, please hear me. I'm not saying everybody in the chat needs to start doing it with 1 ship. If you're level 42, don't try to start doing level 60 solo armadas with 1 ship. But if you've reached a point where you can easily handle them, you need to do 1 ship. Need to do 1 ship. Well, let's see, anything in here? Now, Dade says, do you not get more loot for using more ships because you can use 3 loot crews? No. So here's how loot distribution works in the game period for armadas. Let me hop a system. So the loot that is on an armada is static. That loot can be, let's just, for the sake of math, let's say that loot is 100. The loot on the armada is 100. So loot is distributed by ship power. That is how they distribute loot. So if you have any ship, whether it's a regular armada with your friends or a solo armada with 3 ships, all the loot is disseminated by the power of the ship. So let's just say your strongest ship is the Enterprise D and it's 80% of the power. That means that the Enterprise D gets 80% of the loot. So 80% of 100 is 80. Now let's just say it had the loot crew on it. So now the loot crew is working on 80 loot. 80 loot. That's it. You've put your best loot crew on it. The best loot crew. Absolute the best. So you're getting 80 is now being magnified by whatever that loot crew is. Now, if you take away the other 2 ships, now the Enterprise D's best loot crew is able to do the same thing, but with 100% of the loot. Now, there are some exceptions depending on what ships you're using, what loot bonuses exist, you know, what officers that you have, where you can sometimes finagle it to where you get more from multiple ships. But generally speaking, one ship with one major loot crew is the best way to get loot from a solo armada. Just bear in mind, you don't want to just start willy-nilly trying to handle armadas with one ship. So, for example, I'm talking about loot. If you were to have, say, 3 equally powered ships, and one of them was like a Franklin A, and you're using the Franklin A bonus with Jayla, and you're using the, Defiant, and it had a full loot crew, then we can probably find some situations where we math it out where 2 ships actually makes more loot. But generally speaking, especially in the instance of having one ship that is massively more powerful than the other ships that have loot crews on them, it's best to just run one ship with one loot crew and do it that way. If you have ships that are closer in power, thus more evenly distributing the mix, and then you can manipulate what has more. I don't know anybody who wants to do that level of micromanagement. If you're out there and want to do that level of micromanagement, let me know. I'll help you work it out. But in terms of just basic advice for the average player out there, once you get strong enough, one ship, one loot crew, most loot. Good to see you, Chrono. Welcome in. We were just complaining about you. It's so good to see you. How are you doing, Chrono? Absolutely wonderful to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Pegasus says he does one ship for solo. Sugar Fat Man says he's done it in the past, but he stopped, as in the micromanaging. Yeah, I know me and Fat Man just talked about him using one ship for punching up on these right here. So anyway, these are the reasons that I love streams, is we can have this type of in-depth breakdown of something that maybe somebody didn't realize, really help them out. So says, does that only matter if there's one or more loot crews involved? Nope, that matters, period. Because remember, loot crews increase the loot that you receive. So if you only receive 80 of a 100, then it doesn't matter what other loot crews or whatever else, right? Because then let's just say you had 2 ships. One got 80% of the loot, one got 20% of the loot. Well, then the other loot crew is only taking its loot magnifier on 20% of the loot. Is this valid on G6 solo armadas? It's valid on every armada that exists, because armada loot distribution is the exact same on everything that's an armada. Doesn't matter if it's a group, a formation, a solo, all armadas pay out based on ship power present. All of them. Oh, heck. What a horrible spot for you to spawn, you sneaky little dog. You sneaky, sneaky little dog. What a disgusting spot for you to spawn. You evil, evil little spawn. So Robert says, right, but if nothing is getting amplified and the total lose 100, then all ships will get a share of 100. Correct. So if you're not using any loot crew, then it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same amount of loot no matter what. So like having 3 ships will not result in less loot. But if you are using a loot crew, you want to try to do it with one ship. So, what's your opinion of PvP crew surrounding Mirror Picard versus ship-specific Retribution crew? I know levels make a difference, but as a whole. As a whole, Mirror is better for most. A maxed out Retaliation crew is probably going to beat Mirror. Again, which Retaliation crew? Because they're not all equal. And there are very few situations where you're actually finding head-up fights, because FT, CT's favors, artifacts, all exist. How far in the 4-star Q trials have you completed? Finished them. You can beat the 4-star Q trials at level 56. Now, I think there might be people who have done it even earlier, but I haven't confirmed it. But yeah, I'm done with Q trials. Now, I've not finished doing the last one just because I've been slow rolling it since I beat the other 2. But yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Go back over here real quick. Get these stings in. Or not stings. Get these beams in. Take advantage of these sweet, sweet wins I'm getting. And come back over here and try to find that trader that just popped me. Can you get the epic skins for G5 for free if you wait for multiple events? No, Jonathan. Now, I'm not saying that can't change in the future, but as it is right now, oh, there it is. As it is right now, the there's a limit of 40. So you can only get half of those skins right now. And we confirmed that because they were in the last little store and people weren't able to get what they were missing. Now, long term, I'm sure there will be sourcing for it. But right now, everybody seems limited to getting that half. So. How about you actually speak to your Commodore? Me? Speak to my Commodore? About what? What do I need to speak to my Commodore about? What do I need to speak to my... What did I do? Am I in trouble with my Commodore? What crews used to complete the Q trial? Pike, Moreau, Chin. Pike, Moreau, Chin. There are some instances where Pike, Moreau, Anorex might work better. But generally speaking, Pike, Moreau, Chin. You're not... You don't have enough juice. Not enough juice for the squeeze there. What you got? None of that. It's got some juice worth squeezing. Has some juice worth squeezing right there. If I do say so myself. I do say so myself. Oh, Walter was helping out somebody else in the chat. Thank you. I was completely confused right there. I was lost. It's like, what do you mean? All right. Is there a way to track Commodore Alliance activity? No, there is not. That would be handy, but no, there is not. 30% instant kill in the augment trader doesn't feel like a 30%. I mean, it is. I understand why people think that, but you can go to any game with RNG rolls and find the same people saying the same thing. Well, not the same people, but the same thought. Man, that's not really 30%. It's 30%. It's just really annoying. So I get it though. I get it. I've had it hit me like 6-7 times in a row. And then I've had it where I didn't lose to one for felt like 2 weeks. But if you make a huge sample size and actually track it, especially if you're tracking it with your peers, it's there. It's just annoying. Is there a way to look up a Q-Draw hostile, see if they do more kinetic or energy to swap Chin for Talon? There's not, Rob. There's not. That would be handy, but that does not exist. The loot distribution work the same for invading enemies. Yes, invading enemies are literally just Armadas 2.0. So yes, anything that is an Armada mechanic, same way. Same way. Anything that is an Armada mechanic. All right, let's see. Oh, there's another trader. Let's see if we can get it. How the heck is there a Fisha in here? Why is there a Fisha? There's a Fisha in here. But why? Let's go dock real quick. There's a Fisha. Am I going crazy or do y'all see a Fisha in there? Why is there a Fisha randomly in augments? I can't think of a single reason. What are people doing? What are people doing? XP auto grinding? I would think not. I guess it could have had Vimit. I didn't even look to see if it had Vimit. I guess it could be doing that with Vimit. But that still doesn't make any sense. That still doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Looking for OPC ships? Why would you look for OPC ships with a ship that's not going to hunt OPC? Who OPC hunts with a Fisha? Is there like a cool new trend that I'm not aware of right now? Are y'all withholding fun information from Rev? Because I'm a little bit flabbergasted right now. Oh, who's this? Who's that? Is it Holland? Fishy! It's Fishy! Fishy's Cube. Hey, he's got the Godsend and the Agony Boot. See, I don't have any of those fancy PvE ones. I ain't got none of that fancy technology. Scouting Fog of War. But yeah, why would you use that ship though is my question. If you're gonna scout the Fog of War, get out there with a real ship. And if you're gonna go out there anyway with nefarious intent, well, go out there with something that can actually do something about it. Here's the thing I just discovered. If you have an active task as duplicate of one on the board, the duplicate doesn't show up on the board. Okay. Did I join Armadas with the Cerritos though, so I'm odd? Hey, it's okay to be odd. We welcome oddities here. Sometimes you'll learn something about STFC. Sometimes you just learn that people are odd. And you know what? That's A-okay. That's A-okay. We like odd. All right. Which one's going to get there first? You got there first. We're looking for traders and OPC. Traders and OPC. Sadly, I'm not finding as many Reliance anymore, which, it does sadden me a little bit, but I guess that's to be expected. I'm not finding as many Reliance as I used to. Feel like people have wised up to all of Rev's OPC hunting. Went off 66 today. A couple days away from building the Velox question mark. Is that supposed to be an exclamation point? Viper. Speaking of strange people, how are you doing, my friend? Wonderful to see you. I saw you in a mini stream yesterday. Good to see you. Are you going to come do War Thunder tomorrow night, Viper? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, join the Twitch chat. We stream over there 4 times a week. We are like 6 people away from hitting 14,000 followers on Twitch. We stream War Thunder, we stream Star Trek Fleet Command, we hang out, we talk, we have a good time. It's a very different experience than here, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and that is OPC. You OPC? I just complained about not finding enough, and then I find whoa! Now that's got the juice. All right, sir, I'm gonna need you to, I need some cargo. Hold on. Yeah, you and you. We need cargo for this. We need more cargo. All right, we gotta go freeze your chaser in here real quick. Oh my gosh, I got so much going on. Where's this chaser? I don't see him. All right, don't see him. Woo, doggy, there's some good stuff in here. All right, I'm gonna have to, I'll go ahead and recall that. We freeze the chaser, that's some good one. That's a good one, man. 10 million regular, and then, several 100,000 uncommon. I'll take that. Can't beat that with a stick. Oh, there it is. There's my chaser. Rev, after the Independent Archives release, we've noticed a drop in the rep exos that we used to get on a regular basis. Nothing has changed about the RNG on the exos for the Amalgam Refinery. Nothing's changed. All right, let's see. That. All right, freeze, frozen. This is here. There we go. Get some juice. That's good stuff. How much we got? Come on, how much was it? 11 million. Let's go ahead and grab these two since they're here. Remove my sub in War Thunder. I haven't fired up for months. Yeah, you need to do that, Viper. You should come play with us, man. They have new battleships in the game. New battleships. We've been doing naval War Thunder. It's absolutely fantastic. Been having a good time. So, all right. OPC has been retrieved. We are now maxed out. That'll do, pig. That'll do. That was a good run. That was a good heckin' run. All right, let's start getting this run going because I need to get to 60 million reputation. That's my current fixation is getting to 60 mil rep, and I'm currently at 35.7. So, does the Texas hostile automatic sentry count towards the Monavine infiltrating? It is not, Falcon. You have to manually go grind those out. You can't auto it. So, people with the Reliance don't care about the uncommon, etc. It's all about the trophies. It is, Tim. It is. But you say that, and I've definitely had people get frosty with me. But yeah, the trophies are the main thing. You want to save up for those trophies. We talk about it a lot on the Twitch streams about how important those trophies are. But getting a stockpile of that is going to drastically help out anybody once they get to that 60 million reps. They can run those missions. You need, depending on which hostile you're going to face, you need millions. I'm not exaggerating, of those trophies. So, you need a lot. Rev like ships, because with ships you can't lose wings. Thank you, comms, for your contributions. Either love or hate me. Anytime someone hits my Reliant, I'll message them and ask if they need any more. If they do, I'll happily go out and farm up some. No, I love that. I do that. I leave my Reliant OPC for people to farm. Once it gets over its amount, I don't care. Come hit it. I actually will share it in the global chat and say, hey, everybody, my Reliant is OPC. Who would like to hit it? And I'll share it out with the community. Because if I'm on an OPC hunt, I don't care if I go OPC. So, and exactly what Timbo says, if you haven't joined the Discord, also check out there. We've got a lot of good information there. So a lot of good people. If you just want to hang out as well. All right, let's go in here. Grab, I got pinged in my Discord. I wonder what I got pinged about. That's scary. What I get pinged about. Okay. That was random, but sure. Can you get 6-star ship BPs from priority ones if you're in G6? But not if you're a lower level like me. You're a hero of the Romulan Empire? Well, that's sad because the Romulan Empire is terrible. Why would you want to be favorable with them? Like, I'm really big on tri-faction grinding, but if you're going to dual faction grind, just hate on the Romulans. Speaking of, the Romulans are going to pay for my Selkie because I've got 1.5 million faction credits right here waiting for the Selkie. So, yep. Like I said, that's part of my G6 prep. It's Selkie. And I'm ready for it, and the Romulans are going to pay for it. I'm going to build the Selkie and make the Romulans pay for it. Yep. No regrets. You're a Romulan fangirl? Look, my wife makes bad decisions too, so I'm not going to judge you. I'm just going to be here for you. When they betray you and you're crying, I'm going to be that friend. I'm going to be that friend for you, okay? Just know what's going to happen. You know what? I'm going to let you make your own mistakes. Yep. Let you make your own mistakes. That's what friends do. All right, let's see. I'll grab that later. I always get this because I want more of these. And by the way, I really cannot emphasize enough how excited I am for multiple cows, y'all. Like, more cow means more directives. Y'all better be pulling your directives. I don't want to hear anybody talking about they don't have directives. Get your butts out there pulling these directives. If you're not pulling the directives, what are you doing? Pull the directives. We're going to do Klingon rep, so a lot to Romulan beating up. Then once I reach level lock, we're going to work on the Romulan level lock. Makes sense? Makes sense. All right, so we just blew up. Let's go see how many of these 62s I'm able to get now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I get 14 right now grinding 62s. So I can kill 14 of them, which I think is pretty respectable for a level 60. How many level 62s does anybody else out there do? But I think 14 is pretty good. Would I like that to be better? Absolutely. I've even debated working on the PvE FT and CTs and putting them on the Dare decks and making the Dare decks into a PvE grinder monster. But I think 14 is pretty good for level 60 to get 14 of the 62 exiles. You missed the crew? Sure, I'll show you the crew. I'll show you all of what I'm using. That's everything I'm using right now. So, Janeway, Doc, Anorax with Pelia, B'Elanna Torres, Kim, Hugh, Nurse Chapel, Wrath of Khan, Carol, and then Quasi. Yep. And that is only a tier 3 Janeway, a tier 4 Doc, and a tier 1 Anorax. So I can get 14. And to be clear, there's no PvE FTs or CTs. Those are PvP loadouts. The Time Crystal, which the only thing that's going to really help me there is going to be the whole health bonus. And then the CT I'm rocking is the Q Cannon. So, yeah. When you get Joaquin, would you swap him for Pelia? I would, Scott, yes. And I am close to him. That's one of the reasons I'm working on the reputation right now. So I can then work on those missions and unlock him. That's one of the things I'm working on. So once I get my reputation to 60 million, I'll be able to grind out Joaquin free to play and do that way. Now, when I'm doing rep grinding, the 52s are really a better bet for me than the 62s, but the 62s pay out a lot of the rares and epics I need to get. So I've been doing a lot of 62s, but in terms of sweet spots, The better bet for me is to load out with my Enterprise E crew with Rachel Garrett and then go do the 50s and grind those out. So if we're just looking for rep, a couple ways to do it. I like being able to punch the 62 so I can make those pulls, right? Those epic pulls are huge. They're costly, but huge. And I'm sitting on right now, what I tend to try to do is do a single pull. So I'm a little bit, I'm 7,400 and I need 8,000. So I try to single pull this one. And the reason I do that is quantum slipstream, right? I want to be able to get the quantum slipstream pull every day. And if I can get this free to play, that's going to be a real game changer because I don't even have this yet. And that's the best FT in the game. Reminder for everybody who's unsure or didn't know, this works in PvP, PvE, Armadas, etc. Absolutely fantastic. I hate how good it is because it shouldn't be that good. It's actually a bad thing when the game makes one singular item so freaking good. But it is so freaking good. It is. And if you're out there saying, hey, how can I be gooder? That's how you can be gooder. That's how you can be gooder. Let me check my rep chart real quick. Augment, let's do rep. So yeah, 52s. Really, do I want to? How well can I do against the 58s? Let's just jump in here. A little bit of a balance. A couple days away from triple locking 15 bill. After that, should I single faction or dual? I would triple. I would just keep triple faction grinding all the way because the mirror is really going to be your prime spot for the foreseeable future, right? And I would go ahead and finish grinding that. Sorry, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I was just curious. I would keep grinding all three through mirror. That's what I recommend to all G5, G6 players, and even G4 players. You're chasing the quantum slipstream after you get the Glavin. That's what I did. I went Glavin first, and then quantum slipstream. The reason I go Glavin first is because the Glavin improves everything, every ship. Whereas the QSS is going to be for one ship. Now, it doesn't make it less valuable, but it does make it just more picky. You went full ISO below. Harry Torres, Neelix found it helpful. Kill more than ISO defense. So it just depends on, Tim, what you're running. Because I've got Cascade on multiple runs with the crew you're seeing. So Janeway's giving me Cascade. I mean, Cascade with Nurse Chapel. So ISO defense can be very, very useful. Just depends on what it is. Remember, Joaquim's ISO defense gets huge. Absolutely massive. Do rep crews get more reputation with augment hostiles? Yes. Yes. Way Team Store gives us the option to easily do triple faction now. True. Also the DTI. Don't forget about the DTI faction. Come in here. You've got your encrypted exchange. There you go. Triple right there. So every time, no point doing that. Every time I do a 50 chest, 200 million. Every time. Every time. As you save up more of that, that gets easier and easier to do. I need to pull this. Apparently, I didn't do that yesterday. All right, let's get in here. Let's freeze this chaser before I get wrecked. Where's it at? Well, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. It was hiding from me. Let's see. Were these OPC? No, and no. Oh, it's a small Rotaran. Little tiny baby Rotaran. All right, let's get that. Freeze it. And then we'll start just grinding everything we can. Just got to watch out for the landmine I'm about to lay. For the FKR faction grind, I got for a small boost Galinar for his officer perk. Yeah, that's fine. There are a lot of officers that will boost reputation grind. Remember, any hostile that is a loot bonus hostile will boost reputation drop from hostiles. Now, if it's a specific officer that says Federation Klingon Romulan, like Harry Kim, that will not boost reputation for something like, well, Mirror. I'm sorry, Augment. But anything that just says loot, like 5 of 11, Rachel Garrett, Enterprise E Picard, that will boost your loot. We'll just go ahead and get the Kashar working on those, start working on that rep, and come back here and finish this. But we still got to finish doing all of our run, but Yeah, all good, all gravy. And I am stinging things or beaming things over on the other account. So we get all those things done in one day. Makes me excited. Found you do the Picard maneuver in any direction. You have to head towards a hostile. Well, I've actually had it fail when I don't head towards the hostile. However, if that's working for you, heck yeah, awesome. Take advantage of it. Because I'm not saying you're wrong. This game is very squirrely, and things will work for some people that don't always work consistently for others. If that's working for you, then hey, maintain that pathway logic and take advantage of it. So did Harry Kim work? No, I just said Harry Kim doesn't work. Listen! All right, now I'll pull up Harry Kim. So let's go ahead and find him. He's down here. Where are you at, Harry Kim? There we go. So, increases all positive reputation gains, but FKR. Little symbol. So like Galinar, Freeman. You just came in. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to yell at you because, I don't know. I'm excitable, and I'm a ginger, and I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that. Does Pike increase Kim's increase? No. Don't think so. It's activatable combat abilities. I don't think so. What were the survey results? Yeah, AT. We meant it as a topic, and I'm actually going to remove it from the title because we never end up getting around to it. However, real quickly, we'll have to do this on another show, but I'll still give you the stuff, but we can't go in depth. So here are the grades that y'all gave. Officers, 15% said A, 33% B. That is 48% giving it an A or a B grade, compared to only 2% giving the officers an F. And most people did not give bad sourcing. Only 42% said bad sourcing, which I actually disagree with. I think the sourcing's bad except for Joaquin, but I'm just telling you what y'all said. So there was that. I will also share these out in the Discord. Like I'll give y'all the pies and everything. Did I? Oh no. I hit a landmine. Son of a biscuit eater. I hit the landmine. Dag nabbit. All right, well, I can focus on the results. So officers got really positive. Features. Augment exiles. 10% or 10.5% A, 27.5% B. So a little under 40% gave it an A. Only 14.7% gave the new hostiles an F. Augment faction store update was 35% A, 35% B. Again, overwhelmingly positive. Priority one away teams, 11% A, 25% B, with 21% F. So that one was a little bit more mixed bag. I'll be honest, I think most people giving it an F are not thinking enough long-term the value there, but I get the immediate reaction. Still worth noting. Con, 16% A, 26% B, with only 9% F. New Chaos Technology, that was mostly C's. Almost everybody. 44% of players gave the new Chaos Technology a C grade. I mean, nobody really cared in either direction. The quality of life improvements, 52% gave it an A, 30% gave it a B. Only 2.7% gave all the quality of life upgrades an F, and another 4% gave them a D. So incredibly positive. Events, this is where you start to see some of the big negatives on the events. So 6% of people gave the events overall an A, 19.5% gave it an F. So events, as expected, did not go over well, although there was a lot of people in the middle with 31% giving it a C. Now, in terms of event store currency, there were some people out there, I don't know why, but 1.4% of people said they got no event store currency. I don't know who they are. I don't know. But 30% of people said they got a tremendous amount. 33% gave a really nice amount. So those are A and B grades. Overwhelmingly positive about the event store. In terms of materials and resources, overwhelmingly positive. In terms of the items in the store, overwhelmingly positive with 83% of people. Right? So overwhelmingly positive about the event store, the event loot, the events over the past 2 months. Definitely caught a lot of grind. The Reliant. Most people were positive about it. 12% gave it an F, 12% gave it an A, 23% gave it a B, 35% gave it a C. Most people very positive about the Reliant. in terms of like its sourcing mechanic and its usability. Most people gave it a favorable grade, including those who purchased it. Because if you remember in the survey, there was a question, if you purchased the Reliant, what were your thoughts? Most people gave that a positive response. So let's see. And then last but certainly not least, communication. 5% gave it an A, 12% gave it an F. Almost everybody gave it a C. And then stability. I was surprised by this. So stability, 4% A, 26% B, compared to 9% F and 23% D. So very split. I mean, it's very 50-50 on whether it was good or bad. I expected it to be worse. So overall, though, this was going by what players have said. It's not Rev. I'm not secretly out here. I promise you, I don't have the time, inclination, nor desire to go fake 2,000 polls. I'm just not doing that. That's insane. So what the players have said, overwhelmingly positive, but with 2 huge glaring negatives. So I'll share all that in the Discord a little bit later. So if you haven't seen those numbers, I will share all the graphs out. And of course, any content creators who want to use that for content are more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll give you the data as well. Now, I've still not finished breaking down the comment section, and we'll use those when we go to the Overlord and say, hey, here's what people said, but I can give them the pie already. In your face. I'll set a shield real quick so I don't forget. Bad about forgetting about that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, check out our website, revduce.com. Remember, movie night is tonight. One of the perks of being a member is you get access to our podcast with Ripper, the guy who made STFC.space, the community mod, all those great things. We have a podcast, revduce.com. And if you want to support the channel, remember, I can't do what I'm doing right here. I can't go to Scopely and yell at them. I can't make videos about G6 checklists and Armadas and live streams without your support. 400 people here right now. 2 things. If you can, like the video. And if you can, think about donating to support me and my kids. That way we can continue to do what we do every single day. And I can't thank you enough for those who do it, because I literally wouldn't do this, couldn't do this if it wasn't for y'all's amazing support. So thank you. Hit the like button on your way out. We'll see y'all for movie night here in 3.5 hours. Love you. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for those Space Cowboys. I'll see you tomorrow on all the content, all the things, all the time.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.